For centuries, Earth had sought silence after chaos. The nations had united not under conquest but under the ruins of old wars. And humanity had learned the hardest lesson of all. Peace was not the absence of strength, but the mastery of it. When the stars opened through the shimmering network of jump gates, Earth had not sent warriors but diplomats, scientists, and healers. They had carried messages of cooperation, of shared understanding, of a galaxy that might finally grow without fear. The first decade was golden. The Galactic Council welcomed the Terran Union as a junior member, admiring the humans' rapid technological adaptation and their insistence on ethical trade and defense limits. But as with all stories written by civilizations that had forgotten the sharpness of their own teeth, the peace was never built on honesty. Behind the Council's shining towers and glowing energy spires, old empires stirred. They saw humanity's rapid growth as a threat. Earth's philosophy of mutual respect was viewed as weakness. The Council's elder races had seen hundreds of species rise and fall, and they whispered among themselves that this small blue world was growing too fast, too united, too dangerous to remain untouched. When the first attack came, it wasn't declared. It was disguised as piracy. Merchant convoys vanished. Colonies went dark. Outer patrols stopped sending signals. Earth's fleets, though cautious and small, responded with restraint. Warnings were sent, not weapons. Search missions, not retaliation. The Terran Union believed diplomacy could fix what greed had broken. But in the third year of silence, one transmission shattered every illusion of peace. A civilian vessel carrying diplomats to the capital world of the Council was ambushed near the neutral rim. Its final message, filled with static and screams, ended with a single phrase: "They fired first." The Council issued condolences, not justice. No race claimed responsibility. The attackers were labeled rogue elements. Yet every analysis pointed to the fleets of the dominant power among the elder species. The same empire that had smiled at Earth's peace. Proposals, Earth waited. The world that had rebuilt itself from ashes waited again. But the galaxy mistook patience for surrender. In the cold orbit above Luna, the Terran Defense Assembly met in silence. The admirals and commanders knew what the politicians wanted to avoid saying. The galaxy had spilled human blood. The message was clear. Earth's fleets were ordered to hold formation but no longer retreat. Every colony fortified. Every shipyard reignited. The blue planet turned its gaze outward, not with hope, but with resolve. The next attack didn't strike a colony but Earth itself. A swarm of plasma fire rained through orbit, burning against the defense grids. Millions died in seconds. The global shield held, but not before the oceans boiled in parts of the southern hemisphere. The invaders fled before counterfire could lock on, leaving wreckage in orbit and outrage across the world. That night, the Terran Union broadcast a single signal to every channel, in every known galactic tongue. It read, "We came with peace. You came with fire. Now we will show you why we survived when others burned." The peacekeepers of Earth disappeared from the stars. In their place rose the Terran war fleet. Not vast, not ancient, but efficient. Ships built with the precision of survival, forged from the lessons of 1,000 lost wars. The galaxy had forgotten what humans did when cornered. They were about to remember. Within months, the first counterstrike arrived at the frontier systems. Where once stood alien fortresses now burned drifting debris. Reports spoke of invisible ships that moved like shadows, firing rail slugs that tore cruisers apart without warning. Planetary garrisons vanished overnight. Civilians whispered of the storms from Earth, unstoppable and silent. The Council tried to intervene. They sent envoys pleading for ceasefire. Earth's response was the same calm tone as before. Peace requires truth. You hid the hand that struck us. Until it is revealed, peace cannot live. The Council hesitated, fearful of losing control. The elder empire that had started it all denied involvement, even as their fleets massed near their borders. Their arrogance had carried them through millennia of smaller conquests. They believed humans could never challenge them in open war. Their fleets were larger, their technology older, their population spread across hundreds of systems. They didn't understand that humanity's true weapon wasn't steel or plasma. It was unity, born from pain. When the Terran fleet entered the Saran expanse, the galaxy watched. Thousands of ships, dark and silent, moved with the precision of one mind. The alien forces opened fire first, confident that overwhelming numbers would crush the intruders. Yet the human ships didn't fight like others. They didn't retreat when outnumbered. They adapted. Every loss adjusted the pattern. Every strike recalculated in seconds. Their tactics were not ancient doctrine but living instinct, forged from endless simulations and hard memory. The battle lasted less than an hour. The Elder Empire's flagship, the pride of its navy, was split in half by a focused kinetic barrage. No warning, no announcement, just fire and silence. Across the galaxy, messages spread. Earth's fleet had annihilated a power that had stood for 8,000 years. The other races trembled. Many demanded the Council to sanction humanity. Others begged for alliances. The Council tried to convene, but by then the war had already rewritten every law of galactic politics. Humanity did not seek new worlds to rule. Every system they entered, they left free once the threat was gone. Their only demand was accountability. The galaxy had never seen a conqueror that refused conquest, a warrior that refused tribute, but peace again became poison. The same empires that had condemned Earth's retaliation now sought to use the chaos for their own gain. Skirmishes erupted along the borders. Smaller species picked sides. Old grudges reawakened. Earth found itself facing not one enemy but many. The Terran Command made a choice that history would never forget. They activated Aegis Protocol, the unification of every defense system, every ship, and every orbital platform under a single directive: protect humanity at any cost. The network turned the solar system into a fortress, an unbreakable bastion of light surrounded by storms of steel. When the coalition fleets arrived, 1,000 alien ships under dozens of banners, they expected victory. They found something else. They found silence, every scanner, every communication line jammed by an invisible field. Then the human ships emerged, not from the front but from behind. They had used the wormhole routes the aliens themselves built, striking from impossible angles. What followed wasn't a battle but a demonstration. Human ships didn't shout, didn't broadcast threats. They moved like precision instruments, cutting through enemy formations until the space itself glowed with fire. When the Coalition's flagship tried to retreat, a single Terran cruiser locked on. One rail slug later, the flagship ceased to exist. The Coalition broke. Their retreat turned to panic. Humanity didn't pursue. They simply sent one message to the entire galaxy: let this be the last time blood answers peace. The war should have ended there, but the galaxy was stubborn. Even in defeat, old powers conspired. They whispered of revenge, of vengeance cloaked in righteousness. Yet everywhere they went, they found resistance, not just from humans but from other species that had seen what Earth truly stood for. Because humanity, even in war, had shown restraint. They rebuilt what they destroyed. They shared medicine, food, and energy with liberated worlds. They never enslaved, never looted, never claimed territory they didn't need. They taught others how to stand, not bow. Slowly, the galaxy began to change. Worlds that had once feared humans now traded with them. Colonies that had been abandoned for centuries found new life under Terran aid. The concept of peace, once mocked, started to mean something real. But the scars remained. In every council meeting, in every diplomatic exchange, there lingered the shadow of the war that Earth had never wanted. Humanity's ambassadors carried themselves with quiet dignity, but behind their calm eyes burned the memory of oceans set aflame and cities turned to dust. Decades passed. The galaxy healed, though unevenly. Children born on distant worlds learned about the War of the Blue Flame as both a warning and a legend. Stories told of human fleets appearing out of nowhere, of their soldiers who fought without cruelty, of their leaders who refused surrender not out of pride but duty. And in the halls of the Galactic Council, a monument stood, black stone engraved in every known language. It bore the words, "Earth wanted peace. We gave them blood. They gave us truth." The monument was placed not by humans but by those who once fought them. Far beyond the Council's reach, at the edge of the Orion Arm, the last Terran warship drifted in silent watch. It was no longer a vessel of war but a guardian, its hull scarred and its engines dimmed. Inside, its crew watched the stars and waited, not for conquest, not for revenge, but for the day the galaxy would truly learn peace. Because Earth had never forgotten that peace is not gifted. It is earned, protected, and sometimes fought for. And if the stars ever forgot that lesson again, humanity would remind them, Not with words, not with vengeance, but with the same quiet certainty that had carried them from the ashes of their own world. For when the galaxy delivered blood, Earth answered with something stronger. It answered with resolve.